All right, let's jump right in. You know, what kicks off as just a simple homework assignment for four high schoolers ends up becoming this just incredibly deep thought experiment. I mean, they're not just trying to get an A here, they're literally designing the afterlife itself. And that's the big question they got, which honestly, I gotta ask you too. If you were in charge, if you were the architect of what comes next, what would it look like? Would it be all about comfort or justice or maybe something else entirely? This one question right here is the jumping off point for this whole incredible discussion. So let's meet the crew. We've got Abby, Diesel, Rev, and Evan. And their job is to create a real working plan for the afterlife, not just, wishing for fluffy clouds and harps. And as we're about to see, their ideas come from four totally different ways of looking at life. Let's start with Abby's plan. It's built on an idea we can all kind of get: family.
Okay, so Abby's version of heaven is all about comfort and loyalty. It revolves around her pack, the people she knows, the people she loves. In her afterlife, happy families get back together, and anyone who wasn't in her circle, well, they've got to go somewhere else. It's basically an exclusive VIP club in the sky built on your connections from Earth.
But right away, the other students start poking holes in it. It's Diesel who brings up the, messy reality of actual families. What happens if one of your family members doesn't make the cut? Or he brings up that something like 30% of kids are raised without a father. Is that deadbeat dad just going to show up in this perfect family reunion? All of a sudden, Abby's really tidy, perfect plan starts to fall apart when you hit it with real-life problems. So with Abby's plan kind of hitting a dead end, Evan jumps in with a totally different idea. He asks, what if, instead of a creator picking who gets in and who doesn't, what if the whole system is built on universal laws that are the same for everybody? And just like that, the conversation shifts away from divine judgment and puts the focus squarely on personal responsibility. At the heart of Evan's idea is this: every soul starts out equal. He compares them to a bunch of oak tree seeds, all identical. So why do they grow into such different trees? Or, people? He says it's not because the seeds were different. It's because of the different soil they land in, and this is the big one, the choices they make out of their own free will. And this kicks off a huge debate about who's responsible for who you are. Abby says it's all on her creator. Diesel's pretty cynical. He just blames his parents and where he grew up. But Evan's idea is the real game changer. He says the responsibility is 100% ours, and it's all based on choices we've made, maybe even in past lives. It's not about blame, it's just cause and effect. Now, to make this whole idea of choices and consequences a little easier to digest, Evan comes up with this awesome analogy. He says, forget all the complex spiritual stuff for a minute. Just imagine everyone gets the same amount of money and is let loose in a giant shopping mall. What you do next, that reveals everything. So first up, you've got the spender. This is the person who immediately cashes in their resources for a quick hit of happiness and status. They're not buying that $75 t-shirt because it's actually worth it, but because having it right now makes them feel important. It's all about that instant gratification. And when the spender's money runs dry, they often turn into a borrower. This person gets really good at using other people's stuff to get what they want right away. They just love the thrill of the transaction, and they don't really think too much about what it's going to cost them down the road. But then, on the other side of the mall, you find the lender. The lender is playing a totally different game. They've got the discipline to put off that immediate thrill and invest their money instead so it can grow. They're basically trading a little bit of freedom now for a whole lot more freedom later on. And finally, there's the saver. The saver is fascinating because they found a way to be happy outside of this whole spending game. They see value where other people just see trash, picking up what the spenders throw away. Like the lender, they're playing the long game, limiting their freedom now for more security and independence later. And this is where the mall analogy gets really serious, because Evan's not just talking about one shopping trip. He's talking about a cycle of karmic debt that you carry with you. A spender becomes a borrower, and then the borrower feels trapped, totally enslaved by what they owe. Evan suggests that this cycle of choices actually determines the kind of life you're born into next, bringing all your old debts and credits with you. So, okay, the Mamal of Karma explains the how souls can end up so different over time, but Evan says that's kind of pointless without a why. He pushes the group to think bigger. What's the ultimate goal of this whole system of choices, consequences, and rebirths? What's the point of it all? And Rev's reaction right here is, it's perfect, right? It's probably what most of us are thinking. It is so honest. Just caring about your own family and a handful of friends is hard enough. So the idea of expanding that circle to, what, a billion other people? That just sounds impossible. But that is exactly the number Evan puts on the table. 1 billion plus. He's not talking about just being a nice person. No, he's suggesting that the entire purpose of a soul's journey across maybe thousands of lifetimes is to evolve its ability to care, expanding from just a small pack to literally billions of other souls. And that right there is the core of Evan's whole model. In his view, spiritual growth isn't measured by how much you know or how powerful you are. It's measured by one thing, and one thing only: the number of other souls you genuinely care about and can actually help. That becomes the ultimate scoreboard for a soul's progress. Well, this brings up a huge, obvious question. How? How on earth does a soul go from struggling to care for a few people, like Rev, to caring for billions? According to Evan, the answer is hidden inside his very unique definition of a single, powerful word. See, Evan's idea of hope is not just wishful thinking. It's an active, guiding force. Think of it like a parent who lights up a path for their child in the dark. They don't drag the child down the path or carry them. They just provide the light and the opportunity, holding the balance so that soul can succeed on its own and grow its own ability to care. So, when you put it all together, you see these 4 completely different blueprints for what's next. Abby's plan is all about that exclusive comfort with her pack. Diesel's is a classic YOLO philosophy. Get as much pleasure as you can right now. Rev imagines an endless cycle of do-overs to experience everything. And then there's Evan's, this massive vision of souls evolving towards an almost godlike ability to care for others. And you know, the real magic of this whole conversation was that in the end, it stopped being a theoretical exercise. What started as homework got really, really personal. The students weren't just kicking ideas around anymore. They were facing their own deepest beliefs about fairness, purpose, and what it actually means to live a good life. Which, of course, leaves us with the exact same question they were left with. What kind of plan works best? One based on exclusivity, one that's a total free-for-all with no consequences, or a long, difficult path of growth and ever-expanding responsibility? The story doesn't give us an answer, but man, it leaves us with the perfect question to think about for ourselves.